Now we're going to talk about one of the controversial women of New South Wales in the early colonial period, 1822 to 1838. New South Wales history is dominated by patriarchy. That was fact, but the women cannot and should not be forgotten, especially those who assisted and stood beside powerful men with their own egos, their faults and their failings. Hi, I'm Michael Beashel, Australian historical fiction writer here again, and I'm delighted to be able to throw some light on, I guess, the essential other side of powerful partnerships of that period. Women's roles during the 19th century were rigid, especially in high society, in government and in marriages to other important personages. And in some respects, because their role was to be seen but not to be taken seriously, it would be foolish to underestimate the influence that they had on their male partners and the effect their actions had on determining certain events in that period. Sarah Cox was a lady of that time. Look, I suspect that without any evidence that her life was hard, it may not have been a grafting, difficult life where she had to work for her living, save pennies, and being modest in dress and jewellery. No, I think her life must have been hard due to the fact of the morality of that period and how her birth and her later relationship with William Charles Wentworth were viewed by society. Evidence is not available, but I'm drawn to sympathise with her in the difficulties and challenges that she must have faced. There's no history of her personality or character, nothing to define whether the insults and hardships that society hurled at her were easily deflected or wounded her egregiously. We just don't know. Now, at 39 years of age, William Charles Wentworth married Sarah Cox in St Philip's Church on the 20th of October 1829. She was also born in New South Wales, and her father Francis had been a convict, and like him she had been born out of wedlock, a sin in which she would be stained for life. It was perhaps a relationship fairly similar or not unlike what happens today in reverse order. You know, babies, then engagement, then marriage. She was 24, for example. 3 years before the wedding she had borne Wentworth a child. But in 1830 late, rumours were going around in Sydney that Wentworth was a father to another child by a different woman, Jemima Eager, probably a poor choice of surname, his assistant in producing his book. So on a moral note, it would seem that our William Charles Wentworth had faults in this field. It must have been a grievous burden for Sarah to bear all her life. Sarah was ostracised by society because of her convict birth and her being born out of wedlock. She was not fit during that time to be presented in society, especially to the governor. She was a mistress of Auclu's house for many years, and it is a pity that there is few references of her history or having to live with such a passionate and controversial man like Wentworth. Perhaps, and I really hope that there will be some brave soul out there who will write about her and do the research that I believe is absolutely necessary to fill in an enormous knowledge gap in that marriage, at least to be able to tell the facts about her relationship with her husband, her relationship with her friends in society, if she had any, and what she really felt like during those times. She did give her husband many children, and again, those children would have heard about their father's reputation. Another further cross for her to bear. So, on a rather sombre note, we leave Sarah Wentworth, née Cox, who died in 1880 in Dorsetshire in England. And I'm Michael Beashel. It's bye from me for now as we move on to our next video of early 19th century Sydney. Thanks.